I'm back.
Yeah,
And Rick is here and Kalen is here, but you cannot see him because Kalen's off doing his thing. He's being a dad, but he still had to produce the show because Rick and I aren't very good with computers. So we
that
brought
boy
him
Kale.
in and decided to do that. Uh, Rick, first and foremost, how you doing? How you feeling?
Awesome. Yeah, it's considering the tough weekend that I took, between the Jays and the Raiders. It's taken me a few days to recover, but we're back and ready to
I,
roll. So,
I could tell you about the weekend that I just had, and it'll intersect in the Blue Jays. But
mhm.
I couldn't be more happy that the Penguins play the Coyotes tonight. I'll tell you that. And this is the reason why. Michigan State football goes up against the Buckeyes and just get throttled. Meanwhile, while they're getting throttled, it's the fourth quarter. It's 8-1 Toronto. Like, you know what? At least there's going to be game 3 tomorrow. It's going to be a
Yep.
little bit disappointing that I can't watch it because I was going to go to Buffalo and Pittsburgh. But for some reason, we pulled Gossman. Doesn't make any sense. I understand that they probably wanted to get him a curtain call. Whatever. It's 8-1, bases loaded. Let the guy fucking
Just
work his
struck
way
out two
through it.
guys in a row too.
Yeah, exactly. Let him work his way through it. Let him figure it out. Give him another batter. It's still 8-1. Whatever. They blew it.
Hmm.
Went and did that. So had to eat
We'll
that
touch
for
on
the
that
rest of
more
the day.
later because I got a few things I want to talk about in that game, but that's where it all started for sure.
100%. And then just to tie it all off, because bad things and good things always happen in threes. Uh, Went down to Buffalo, watched Kenny Pickett's first start. Was the worst Steelers loss since 1989. So that all happened to me in the span of about 24 hours. So I feel what you're getting at,
Mm.
and no matter what, we keep going back to the sports altar and keep going back for more.
Love it,
Um,
love it.
but maybe we should, we touched on the Blue Jays. Obviously, it's a near and dear thing for both of us. Maybe we should start there. Let's get into a little bit of Blue Jays before we get into some hockey.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do some Blue Jays and then cover a little bit of what's going on in the playoffs right now. But just doesn't get any more heartbreaking, really. Like you said, I rushed home. I got home. I left work early on Friday. Asked my boss if I could leave at 2 because we're 2 hours behind you. And by the time I had gotten home, my work's about 5 minutes from my house. By the time I got home, it was already 3-0. So
Yeah,
just devastated in the first game that this amazing offense down the stretch, everybody's hitting. Manoa, hasn't given up 2 runs in like a month and a half. Everything just didn't work. So right away, so you're discouraged to start, but you're like,
right.
oh, we got tomorrow, and then sure enough, boom, we come out just swinging. Crushing ball. Teoscar looks great. 8-1, like you said, in the sixth inning. Gossman wasn't his sharpest, but he still battled hard that game. Bases loaded. He gets 2 strikeouts, like you mentioned. No relief pitcher. I don't care if you're Mario Rivera wants to come in the playoffs with bases loaded. Uh, in an elimination game, the guy strikes out 2 people and then they pull him for Tim Mesa. Which I don't understand why that is the decision there. And John Schneider's been so good this year too with not pulling guys early. And that's one of the things he was doing better than Charlie. So uh, you know, it sucked, but whatever. We got through that inning. It still was okay. Really, if you want to put the blame on anybody, I'll put it all on George Springer. Like that. You're center fielder. You're the commander of the outfield. You're a winner. You got to just play back on that ball and let it hit the ground and give up a run, get it in, and let Romano get out of it. It doesn't like I just don't understand. Such a high risk play to die and die for that ball, especially with Bo coming in. Yeah, if you make it, you look like a hero, but instead you look like an idiot. You're laying on the ground. You got a concussion. You give up all the base, all the runners. Like that just can't happen. Like that's the
Right.
one thing I really think was controllable on the Blue Jays part, and George Springer really should be kicking himself for that play.
Right, and exactly, and you know what? Even if he felt like it was his play, it's also his play to call the guy off too. And there
Yep.
was a lot of different things that he should have been doing there. He
Yeah.
didn't do any of the stuff he was supposed to do. He's
Nope. Reckless.
he's he's our highest paid guy, and he's supposed to be there to get them through these types of games and get the young guys over the hump. He can't
And
do
make
that.
smart plays too in the right situations. Like even
Yeah,
earlier in the game, the one he tried to get at the wall, he wasn't getting that ball. you stay back, you play the ball off the wall there. Instead, he tries to jump into the wall. He hurts himself again. He just always seems to be reckless and do stupid plays that, always result in stupid injuries for him. And, it gets to a certain point where these injuries just aren't bad luck. It's because you're putting yourselves in shitty situations. And, I understand you want to make big plays, but when you're up as big as we were, there's no need to make that play there. Just give up the run, get the ball in, and continue on, right? So it really sucks. I was really hoping that, I was already planning my Sunday, like you said,
yeah,
to watch that game. But it just sucks to come all this way, miss the playoffs by one game last year, come in so hot down the stretch this year, not have to play Tampa Bay, and then get swept to these guys. I'm keeping it up because I love my Griffey. And,
yeah. Well,
but other than that, it's a shitty loss, big time.
Griffey never wronged the Blue Jays, so we won't blame this on Griffey.
He did it. And
realistically,
realistically,
Robbie Ray did exactly what the Blue Jays needed him to do. But overall, the defense and the bullpen let him down. And
then, yes, another thing, bullpen. I'm sitting there when they bring in Bass, and I'm like, why isn't Cimber coming in here in the spot that he's pitched pretty much all year? He's pitched the most innings out of the bullpen in the American League this year, and he doesn't come in. So I'm like, well, maybe he's not available for this game because he pitched yesterday. And then they bring him in the 10th inning. Like, what the fuck? Why would you bring in Anthony Bass when Cimber has pitched there all fucking year? I don't understand. We did, John Schneider panicked or something, he's been so cool, made so many good decisions, and for some reason, we did everything we needed to do to lose that game. And that's what you got to learn from it. But now it's like, oh, yeah, better luck next year. Another 162 games to hopefully, win a goddamn playoff game. So, it's heartbreaking. It really is.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, it'll be interesting to see what the organization wants to do with Schneider. He didn't have a bad year. He did manage much better than Montoya. But when it got to the playoffs, he choked. Yep. I personally think that they're waiting until this loss kind of wears itself off.
Yeah.
Which for Toronto sports fans, it pretty much has after last night. But they've already turned their tune. So I would say that once we get into, November, December here, I would imagine that Snyder's going to get the full title. I don't imagine them giving him any more than a 2 or 3 year contract on it. But
the fact they didn't commit to him right away, though, it shows that, they're still keeping their options open. So, I like the guy, but, everybody likes the interim coach usually. That's usually the way it goes. Like, the interim guy usually comes in, he usually has not as much success as Schneider had, but the interim guy usually gets that, oh, this guy's better than the other guy. And, eventually when you lose and you start, that's when your back's against the wall. You start learning what guys are really made of. Who knows? I hope they keep him. They did play well under him, but come on, man. You got to win a playoff in that game. Got to win a game.
Yeah. I mean, we're as soon as February starts, that's when the Nate Pearson conversation is going to start happening again. And I fully believe that they need to go and not get a frontline starter, but they need to get a number 2 starter. Not to say that we don't have a number 2, but I think it'd be nice to have a 1, 2 2s, and then Barrios and whoever else on the back end. Obviously, Kikuchi's going to get his look next year because he's getting paid $12.5 million a year.
Yeah.
Well, look, he's going to be in the rotation next year because they're paying him $12.5 million, and he's going to go to spring training, and they're like, "Wow, the fastball looks electric. The stuff looks great." He's going to come out first game, and he's going to be pulled by June, and he's going to have a 6 ERA. So, that's the optimism in me.
His pitching just doesn't suit the American League East. It's not a placement pitcher and stuff like that. His fastball's all right, but he doesn't suit the American League East. That's for sure.
Yeah. And we'll give a little shout out to Joe here, who says that the Astros are taking care of the business with the Mariners, so we don't have to worry about it. We appreciate. You know what? I liked the way that the game 1 went with the Astros in Seattle. We'll just get into it. We were going to go into hockey, but we're on baseball. We might as well get into baseball here.
Yeah, for sure.
Game 7-3, 1. They were up. Yeah, and you know what? 9th inning. I was watching it with my son, and they walked him, the first guy hit, second guy walked, and then Alvarez started walking to the plate, and I was like, it's over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you just saw something in the guy's eyes. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was over the
that's like
second he
even
walked
when I
up
played
there.
him in the video game, that's what it's over. Like there's something about that guy. I don't know what it is. Like his swing is just so sweet. He's got a feel for pressure, big moments. He's just a guy that when he comes to the plate, pitchers are afraid to pitch to him. There's something
Yeah.
about him. He's so clutch. So, yeah, I kind of knew it was over when he came up to the plate too. And it looked good on them. If they blew a big lead in that game too, kind of the way we did. And it sucks. But I was kind of hoping they would beat the Astros because who the hell wants the Astros to win? But uh,
Right.
but
And
Yankees postponed today. If you had to ask me, I know you were rooting for a Subway Series. It sucks to see the Mets get shut out and the decider there. They played well enough, but I'm really interested in this San Diego LA series. Awesome baseball to watch. So much talent. So many
yeah.
superstars. Every pitcher that comes to the mound could be an ace on any other team. Like it's pretty exciting baseball to watch those two teams.
Yeah, and like you Darvish really fought through like a tough start, and I think that's good, and I think that was good on the manager to not panic and get him out of there. You
I
don't want to
loved
go
it.
down, yeah, you don't want to go down 0-2 to the Dodgers, so just stick your course. You're going
I
home
needed
with the
him
series
over
tied.
five
I
and a
think you're
half
in good shape.
strikeouts. I needed him over 5.5 strikeouts on a same game parlay last night. So I was hoping so bad they were going to keep him in. And he ended up going over. I actually won my parlay on that. Machado for a home run and him over 5.5 strikeouts and San Diego to win. It was a nice one to punch. So, yeah, I'm glad he battled through it. It was awesome to watch
Yeah,
that happen.
that's a nice little ticket to cash, and we always thank our friends at Coolbet Canada for giving those opportunities to us to cash those
Yeah.
tickets. So
Mm-hmm.
that series is probably the best series. It's actually kind of disappointing that one can't be the NLCS.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you think of this playoff format. We're kind of in the middle of it here, so going through wildcard weekend and staying in like a bracket format rather than reseeding.
Yeah.
Did
I
baseball
don't
get it
like that.
right?
I don't
Yeah,
like that. No, I didn't realize that that's what it was. Because, like, even me, you even informed me of what um, you know, the way the playoffs were played this year. I didn't realize
yeah.
they had switched it from the one game playoff, but I also didn't realize that they didn't reseed either. I just thought when you saw they were going to go on to play, that was just they would readjust it if the seed was different.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same as the NHL, right? Like I don't agree with the way the NHL does it either. Like I don't know whatever happened to 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, and just all the way down like that. Like it's the fairest way to do it. It's the
Right.
reason we play the regular season is to have a seed. Like so, like to play this whole regular. I love how baseball's included more teams because I just always thought it was so dumb. You play the most games on any sport, you have the least amount of teams make the playoffs. Like I always
Right.
hated that. I do like this how they've made more, but at the same time, like I said, if you're going to play and you're going to have a seed, your seed should be worth something. And if
Yeah.
you're just going to just do whatever the hell you want in the brackets after that, then this kind of defeats the purpose of having a seed, right? So I think it's kind of dumb, but
Yeah. I agree, and the only reason that I can consider that Major League Baseball did this and why it would be beneficial to the team with the bye is
mhm,
kind of you have it
where,
narrowed down of who to get ready for.
where you're going to
You
go.
don't have yeah, like and you already know you got your hotel reservations, everything's set, you're not scrambling. Your organization is ready to roll based on kind of what's happening. But
Mhm.
even still on that, there's such thing as over preparing, and I
Yeah,
think even with all the games that the Braves and the Phillies played this year, I
yeah.
don't think that the Braves were mentally prepared to play the Phillies. The Phillies coming off of that amazing win against the Cardinals in game
That was
one,
huge. Yeah, yeah.
and then finishing them off in a sweep. Like, I don't
Mm,
know how I feel about making the playoffs and not having the ability to have a home game, but I do think that they have like the makings of the right situation in baseball. I would like to see reseeding for everything that you just said. If you win 105 games,
yeah.
and just because the one team happens to win, doesn't mean that
To
that's
get
the
the
team you
worst
should
team.
be playing. Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So I
yeah.
mean the
And
Astro.
if you're getting a bye too, and you're over 100 win team, it shouldn't fucking matter who you're playing. It shouldn't matter who you have to prepare for.
That's
You
that's
you know
fair.
you're 100 win team. Like you figure it out. You know what I mean? So like I just think yeah, if you've earned that to get to play the worst team. Like so, but you know
Yeah.
it's I'm sure they'll look at it, but either way, it is exciting playoffs to watch right now, and it sucks. It took me a couple days. I didn't watch shit after the Jays got eliminated
Well,
for a
yeah,
couple days there,
that
but I'm
that was
over
a
it now.
tough
I know
one.
they're watching.
That was a
Yeah.
tough one, and I think the beneficial part for us on that was we had football the next day, and Monday Night
Oh yeah.
Football, which didn't go the way you wanted, but more importantly, we had hockey come back, and
Yeah, we did.
I know you're a big hockey guy. I know things have really, really worked out for you over the last day.
Yeah.
Penguins play the Coyotes tonight. They've actually probably already dropped the puck, so I don't know what's going on there. But how do
Is
you
that at the
feel
frat
about
house?
what's that?
Is that a game at the frat house or?
No, I'm pretty sure they're in Pittsburgh tonight. Yeah.
The
Yeah, they
backyard rink or what?
yeah. The bookmakers were not very kind to Arizona, I could tell you that much. They were like a plus 450 or something, which is a lot for the first hockey game of the season.
That's
But for the
about as
first time
many
in a long
people as their arena holds.
yeah, maybe a little more.
Yeah. So,
Um
yeah, no, that's good. It should be a win for everybody to play them this year. So,
yeah, well, why don't we talk about the big win last night? Because
yeah,
obviously
let's talk about that for sure.
I'm in Maple Leafs country. You're on the
Mhm.
other side of the country, but that
Yeah.
loss was probably felt everywhere.
Yeah, like for me, I don't have any expectations as a Habs fan going into this year. Last year was a tough one, but when St. Louis took over, the team did excel. Cole Caulfield took almost 30 games to score 2 goals last year, and he just scored 2 in one game last night. Everybody was expecting him to fly out of the gate last year. He was held back by the coach when we switched to St. Louis. He let him rip. He's almost the exact same kind of player as St. Louis was when he played. So I'm sure they have that connection together. But, so great to see Suzuki come out with the C and perform. Youngest captain in Canadiens history at 23. Doesn't speak French. This is a breakthrough. It doesn't happen. Young players usually don't become captains in Montreal, and they usually
from
speak
London,
French. So
from London, Ontario, as well.
yeah, exactly. So it's I love the game. I was worried. It's funny because the Raiders won every preseason game and suck shit this year, and
Yeah,
Montreal didn't win a preseason game. So I was a little worried, but we came out flying. We have 4 rookies in the lineup to start the year, which is crazy for Montreal. We don't have Carey Price. Carey Price came out to a standing ovation. Love him, but I read a big article today about him where he literally has a hole in the cartilage of his knee where his knee bends, and he's pretty much fucked. When it comes to ever getting it fixed, they've given him a 72% chance of surgery working, where they have to take cartilage from another part of his knee and plug it into there, and it sounds very, very complicated. So, sad to see him not out there. But Jake Allen played fantastic last night. He stood in front of all the pucks. The goals that went in, he really didn't have much chance on. He kept us in the game when we needed him to. Cole Caulfield, Suzuki missed on a connection at the end of the first period, but they opened up the second period with the same play and buried it. And then he buried it again. The guy is a shooter. He's a sniper. He's a goal scorer. I expect 30 goals from him this year. I expect that line to produce a lot. And, our role players came through last night too. Josh Anderson bearing one. Old Sean Monahan, my boy, came from Calgary. Bad hips the last 2 years. Didn't play much at all. Came out, took all the big face-offs for us. Looked like he was skating well, moving well, so well that I put a bet down on him to score in the second period, and he scored the third goal. And that was at a plus 600 odds, which was sweet. It's nice to see that we got him for a bag of pucks pretty much. So that was great. The Heat performed. 4 youngsters on defense. They all played, fairly well. The only guy that didn't was Savard, the guy that isn't a youngster.
right.
But all in all, the Leafs, I love kicking the Leafs' ass more than anything. I love beating them. I love seeing their coach have to answer questions as to why you lost to the last place team in the NHL to open the night last night. Nothing sweeter than beating the Leafs. So, it was a great game to watch. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Now, 2 questions, I guess, about last night's game, and I caught majority of it, but first question will be offside, and second question will be, are the Canadians legitimate. I mean, you watched a lot of their preseason. You watched a lot. Like,
Yeah.
do they have a chance to be in the 10-7 range to fight for a playoff spot here, or is this just going to be like another rebuilding year?
Well, as for the first thing, I believe it was offside, but with the new rule that came in last year, where your skate can be off the ice, and if it's hovering above the blue line, you're still considered onside, because every time Montreal challenges, they get fucked every time.
Yeah.
So, I was so
they're
happy
challenging
that they did it.
they're challenging in French instead of English.
Well, yeah, but St. Louis, you could see he was so torn on whether or not he wanted to challenge that. But, Toronto's power play hadn't been good that game. You challenge that and don't get it, we go on the penalty kill, and chance that power play is going to burn you eventually.
I love that rule, by the way.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, and it's the way it should be. There should be it should be like that in all sports. It is. I think in NBA they take away a timeout as well. But I do like the NHL one, but it really makes you think. And it would have been so easy to just say, yeah, challenge it because you're desperate and you don't trust your team, and you don't think. But you know what? He trusted his team there. He decided not to challenge it, and he got rewarded. And instead of laying down and being deflated from that goal, we just came right back and sniped one. And Josh Anderson, the poise he had there, instead of just firing it right away, which a lot of guys do, he took it, he settled it down, and he ripped it off the bar and in. So beautiful goal. We deserved to win that game last night. The youngsters played great. Slafkovsky looked good in the time that he was out there. He was blocking shots. He's getting into the play, chipping pucks up the boards, doing all the little things that a lot of rookies don't do. It's nice to see you. You don't always have to be on the score sheet. Just play smart hockey, get it deep, get it off the boards. Don't fuck up, pretty much. It's a simple hockey, and people get away from it way, way too much. Trying to do stupid shit, stupid no-look passes, up the middle, icing, this and that. The boards are your friend, and it's great to see them using it. As for whether or not Montreal's a contender, no, they're not a contender. But with the way they played last night, if they give me hope that we could maybe sneak into the playoffs, but I almost don't want to, in a sense,
Yeah.
I do really want another great draft pick, but at the same time, nobody wants to see their team lose either. So, who knows? This team is young. They're very talented. If our role players do play well, like Monahan and Anderson, and Armia's not in there yet, but even Josh Evans looked good last night. I do believe Martin St. Louis has this team believing in themselves based on the way they played last night against the Leafs. So, I'm just excited to see the win, because I don't think I saw their first win until like the 9th game last year. So,
Yeah,
so it's pretty sweet.
I mean, anytime you can start with a win, it's great. I guess the question most on my mind as I was watching the ending of it was, is this the Habs being the Steelers week 1 beating the Bengals, in a wild finish?
Yeah.
And then are going to end up having a top 5, top 8 pick? Or is this a team that's going to take the next step? And you're probably right. You probably want them to not take the next step this year, because you need a little bit more talent in there, because when you take the next step, you want them to be competitive in the playoffs. You don't want to go in. There's no point in making the playoffs to get swept, right? There is no participation ribbons. You have to continue to make the next step and figure it out.
No, that's the
now,
Leafs.
Yeah. Yeah. And, for me, Penguins going into this year, looking at the exact same, we didn't change the core, rolled the exact same dice. Main difference is they're healthy. And they haven't been healthy going into a season in quite a while.
Malkin's been healthy going into a season in like 10 years. So
Right, exactly. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Malkin can accomplish with a full season. Knock on wood, assuming a full
he's
season.
Still a point of game player.
He is, and I went up and down the roster of the Penguins just to be like, what is my expectation this year?
It's still a good team.
I was gonna say, I think I'm fooling myself if I don't say that they're first, second place in the division, right? I mean, the Rangers are good.
Last year, they just faltered in the playoffs. There, Sidney Crosby still ranked 7th in the league, 7th out of the top 100. A lot of players. I still think he's a great hockey player. I still think he's one of the best. Like you said, Malkin hasn't been healthy forever. If he can stay healthy, you're getting 80 points from Malkin. and Tristan Jarry, I really like him when he's healthy as well. I think he's got a lot of talent. Like the teams, I'm not saying will win the cup, but anytime you got Sidney Crosby, I think you got a chance.
Look, they got the 2007 All-Star team. They got Jeff Carter. They got Crosby.
Carter, I forgot
they
about
got Malkin. They got Jason Zucker. Kasperi Kapanen.
Great player too.
Yeah, if you can get 60 points out of Kapanen, you're probably in great shape. When I go up and down the roster, I look at the defense, and outside of Letang, you're kind of in like
you got Jeff Petrie from me, which is he's a good pickup.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Jeff Petrie's a solid defensive man. He's
top four. I'll take your word on it. Last year, I drank the Kool-Aid on all these new defensemen coming in. It's something. It's just a system. Like for some reason, the Penguins have had a hard time getting success out of the defensemen. Yeah, they brought in Jack Johnson, who not an amazing player, but was an okay defenseman. They DFA'd him before. Like first year they bought him out.
Well, you mark my words on this one. Jeff Petrie should be playing on the first power play unit with Letang. I don't know if he's going to be or not, but if he is, I guarantee you get minimum 30 points out of Petrie this year. I would say even 40. Well, a couple years ago when Montreal was rolling and he was quarterbacking our power play, he makes really smart plays. He has a deceptively good shot. I expect 30 to 40 points from him in that offense and that power play easily, and he can skate it out of the zone. That's for a big guy. So I think he's a good player. It's a good pickup for you guys to get him. I was disappointed to lose him myself, so it'd be good. I think they got a good team. I still think they'll be competitive easily. So
yeah, I'm happy to see that and happy to hear that. Now I went to bed early. I didn't stay up for the end of the Braves or the end of the Dodgers game, nor did I get to see the comeback from Edmonton. So what was going on there? Before I went to bed, I did place a bet on Edmonton plus -1.5. They were down 2-0.
Last night. I took Montreal plus 300. Okay, I took Edmonton, and I took the Ducks. So wow. Yeah, so and it was a sick payout. So it was awesome. So like Montreal, they end up winning it for me. Well, then Edmonton goes down 3-0. So when it was 2-0, and Seattle was also up on Anaheim, I did a counter bet, and I did a bet live on Seattle and Vancouver. So when I did that, Vancouver went up 3-0 on Bet365, which gave me the win automatically with them, and Seattle was up 4-2 on Anaheim, and I had the over in that game. So I cashed it out, but I still had my other bet going on Edmonton, and then Edmonton comes back and wins. Anaheim ties it up with a minute to go and wins in overtime. So. Wow, yeah. For all the bets that I've lost over the years, losing in the last 30 seconds or losing that last game you need, all three of them turned around yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. Wait, what can you say? McDavid, the guy's a freak. Just a hat trick in his first game already. Vander Kane, very selfless play at the end, passing it. The Draisaitl, McDavid, they're just amazing. So it's amazing that they just came back with ease in that game.
Right, and just a quick stat correction because we only talk about Coolbet Canada on here. So Bet365 can go fuck themselves. It's okay. No, it's all good.
I have bets. Hey man, I have accounts with everybody, man.
Yeah, that's what I got. Hey, you gotta spread the money around. It sounds like
I take whoever's got the biggest bet boost, man. I'll go with whatever site that is that big. But I know that Coolbet usually has really good ones. So
hey, I know that if you won all those bets yesterday with Coolbet, then they might not be in business and we might not have jobs right now. So we want
man, I won quite a few yesterday. Don't worry, Coolbet, we love you. I use you all the time too. So
yeah, and we'll transition into football here unless you have any other hockey stuff. But I have some football bets that we need to get people in. They're about 45 minutes.
Sure. I did want to touch real quick. Calgary's opener tonight. We were playing the Stanley Cup champs. Kadri playing his old team in the Saddle Dome. Whole new look for the Calgary Flames tonight. Out goes Johnny Gaudreau to Chuck. We bring in Uyghur. We bring in Huberdeau, and we bring in Kadri. I love the